You all right? Do you need a Heimlich maneuver?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Can everybody pull out their lab work 6, number 4? Everybody pull out their lab work 6, number 4. Everybody pull open their lab work 6, number 4. I feel like there's been a miscommunication. Or apparently I've been speaking a lot of Chinese lately. Everybody got it open? Can you please take your what we know from that, lab work 6, number 4. Take the what we know. I want you to apply it to this problem right here. And tell me, does it work? It should be on your phone, yeah. So if you look at your what we know on number 4 and apply it to this problem, would it work? So open your lab work 6, number 4, unless you didn't hand it in, of course. And you apply it to this problem, would it work? If the answer is no, then that's where the issue is. Okay? So your what we know for number 4 and number 5 should be the same. Agreed? Because here's the thing. When we did the notes for these two transformations, did I give you 2 separate steps? Or was it the same? It was the same, right? The 4 points from the parent function. And the reason why I show you these 2 examples is because one would have f in it, and one would not have f in it, correct? Which is basically 4 and 5. So whatever you did in 4 in terms of what we know, and what in 5 in terms of what we know should be exactly the same. So if you look at the answer key, oh, now she shows up. So if you look at the answer key, notice that the what we know is covering both aspects. Make sense? Okay? So maybe that's where the miscommunication is. And the 2 shapes should look exactly the same. No, I think, you know what? I literally just did this in the last class. You just applied that one wrong. Because that should be positive 8. So it would be up here. So that's the only thing. I literally just did it for the last class, and that's exactly what it was. I'm like, something's wrong. I'm like, oh, it's positive 8. So maybe what I should have said to you guys is that in your lab works, you shouldn't have, if it's 10 problems, it shouldn't be 10 different what we knows. Does that make sense? It should be like the problems that are similar should have the same what we knows. So number 4 and 5 should be exactly the same. So to do number 5, this what we know should be exactly that same thing. Right? When I find the inverse with a given equation, I should have the same thing. If it's the inverse of a graph, it would be 4 points or 3 to 4 points from the parent function. Switch to x and y, plot it. right? Slightly different than if it was an equation, because the equation was replacing the f of x with y, swapping x and y, right? Solving for y, replace the y with f negative 1 of x, which you can't do that with a graph. Okay? So that's my bad. I'll take responsibility for that. Go for it.
So what I did was I added.
She walks in with her sexy boots.
Listen,
I know. I'm just joking.
I added 2 because I looked back at what we did in class Tuesday, and a problem like that we added from there because it's PEMDAS, or no, it's SADMAP, so we did opposite.
When was where?
Huh?
When do we go opposite?
When it's Y, right?
When it's inside the parentheses. Right?
Yeah.
When it's inside the parentheses, it's backwards opposite of SADMAP. When it's outside, it's straight as is. Now, I always say this. As I always said to you guys, well, I've been saying to you guys, is that I'm looking for better. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for better. And what I've seen since last week, I gave you guys 100%, so week before would be lab work 4. So since lab work 3, because lab work 4 was optional. So lab work 3. So since lab work 3, I haven't seen necessarily better. I'm not saying that this is not for all. It's just for most, right? There might be a few of you guys that have done better, but I haven't seen it from all. What do I mean by that? I'm meaning that when I'm grading it and I feel like it's a waste of time grading it, that means the effort you guys are putting in, you guys are telling me it's a waste of time for you as well. Okay? Meaning that you don't want to start the lab work early. You want to start late, and then when push comes to shove, you're just going to either copy each other's lab work or cheat. Right? For example, intermediate algebra did, whoa. Why did I separate? Whoa. What's this? So, intermediate algebra had a factoring thing, and they literally wrote this right into the lab work, which is not in the notes whatsoever. Right? So, for me, it's like, if it's not in the notes, why are you writing it down? If you're going to copy this, why even bother handing it in? It's going to be a failing grade anyways. So why waste my time? Okay? And then someone said, well, you know what? When I start the lab work early, I tend to do a pretty good job with it. But when I wait, I tend not to do such a good job with it. I tend to miss a lot of things. I tend to not do a very good grade. Okay? And this is the reason why. So along with this, I've read my SOS as well, because I had to do a reflection on my student opinion survey to my dean. And some of the comments was, and I want to reply to these comments. One of the comments was, I wish the due dates would be later. Last class, someone actually said, please do not change the due date because it would just make me procrastinate even later. This is the reason why I put the due date the way I did. Because when you leave class on Thursday, I expect that you guys already know how to do every single problem. That's pretty much done. Okay? The other comment that's negative would be we get done with the notes on Thursday, and then he expects us to be able to get the assignment done by Friday. My question to you is, I graded number 4. Was that from Tuesday's notes or Thursday's notes? So why would Thursday's notes affect this problem? Does that make sense? So like by Thursday, you guys should already had the 3 of the problems done out of the 6. Because 3 of them were about transformation, 3 was about inverse. So you should already have 3 of those problems done, which I graded 1 of them. Okay? And anytime I think about grading stuff, I always think about life. And the other thing that they would say is it's not fair for me to grade only 1 problem. I should grade all 10. I can't really disagree with that. But I wish that my salary would reflect all the good things I do in life. And all the bad things I do in life, they can subtract that salary. Man, would I have a really fat paycheck, right? There's plenty of good that I do, but trust me, when I do one bad thing, for some reason I get caught. Always. Right? That grading 1 problem, guys, is, to me, life. This is why I don't do extra credit. Because there's no one time that I opened up my mailbox and there was a stack of hundreds in there. Extra credit. Right? Nobody's throwing me cash because I'm working out. Man, wouldn't that be awesome? Because we'll all be working out. Right? But that's the thing. So when I do things, that's why I don't do certain things because of that. Although one of my students called me out because when I gave you guys all 100%, or when you guys copy, I give you guys 10%. She's like, "Why are you giving everybody a trophy then? Why are you giving everybody a participation trophy?" I'm like, "You're right. That's true." Right? And I'm good with those comments. So this happened also in spring of 22. Where I started to feel like that you, as students, felt like it was a waste of time to do the lab work. And I felt it was a waste of time for me grading lab work because of what was given to me. At that point in time, there was no what we know, but there was a lot of cheating. This is why I created what we know, is for that reason. So I decided to let the class make a choice, do a vote, to get rid of the lab work or to keep the lab work for the rest of the semester. So with that being on the table, is there any questions that you might have about it before we vote?
So if we weren't to do lab work, what would be in place of it?
So the question in class is, if we decide to get rid of the lab work, where does that 10% go? That 10% will go to MLM. So the Pearson grade would go from 10% to 20%.
Yeah.
If you got rid of the lab works, does that mean they won't even be there? Not even an option?
So the question is the lab work still going to stay put if we say no more lab work? No, the lab work will still be there. I'm not going to get rid of them because that means I got to revamp the whole Canvas homepage. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it there. The only difference is that I'm not going to grade them anymore.
But if we do them, will you help us if we don't?
If you still have questions, I still answer questions just like I do every single week. I'm not going to be like, nope, that's not lab work. No good. Sorry. Not that guy.
Will the MLM continue to be submitted on Saturday, or will it change to Friday?
Nope, ML1 will stay exactly as is. That's a lot of changes to make.
Can you still do the lab works?
You may absolutely
Won't get extra points right now?
correct. You can still do the lab work and not get any extra points for it.
Okay. Not even to a test.
Nope.
But in class, so if we do the lab work, as
Yeah, just because like yesterday I was benching with 15 reps doesn't mean that like extra muscle pops up for me.
What about the old lab works that they've done?
The old lab works will now just disappear.
Okay.
It would just go down to 0%.
Okay.
Yep.
So, like, our grade will stay the same or no? Like, because of
Well, it'll
the
fluctuate depending on how well you've done on MLM.
Are you still gonna open MLM one day to like get a higher grade?
Yep. Yep. So the question was, am I going to reopen MLM like I was planning on all along? Yes, I'm still going to reopen MLM 2 to 3 times this semester. That won't change.
Like the extra lab works you give on exam weeks?
The optional ones?
Yeah.
What about them? Those will still be there. You can still ask questions.
Not worth it.
I'm not going to change them if that's what you're asking. I'm not going to change them to not reflect it what it's supposed to reflect. I think that's what you're trying to ask. The optional lab works are still going to reflect what they were supposed to reflect. They intend to reflect. Any other questions? It's a big moment.
It really is.
It's a big vote. I have one more stat to show you. Because I think a question that you guys should be asking is, since you've done this before, and again, I really don't take this personally. This is for me. See, for me, it's it's bittersweet for me, right? For me, it's this. I put in lab work for your benefit. I do believe it's for your benefit. However, I know it takes you more time. It also takes me more time. So if there's no lab work, guess what? That means I have a free Sunday. That means after church, I can just drive straight up to Fort Myers and get some nice, good dim sum at Ginger Bistro, and then go next door to Hot Bins and buy things pretty cheap. Like, a purple pillow for $12. But realizing now my skin might be allergic to the purple pillow. But it's better than buying a $200 pillow, purple pillow, and realizing that rather than a $12 pillow and realizing that, right? So I'm okay either way. So here is so fall 2021, everybody did the lab work. First 4 weeks, a little wrestling match going on, and then afterwards they were good. And another popular comment in my SOS is this: I started out hating the lab work, but realized the lab work helped me. Spring 2022, exactly where we are right now, except 3 years ago, but exactly where we are, right? About this lab work area. So right around exam 2 is where I had the vote. And by 1 vote, lab work got dropped. Okay? Which is possible right now as well. I didn't care then, I'm not going to care now. Okay? So these are their class averages of their exams, of each exam. Okay? Because I had 3 classes in the fall, 3 classes in the spring. And right now I have 3 college algebra classes, so exactly the same. So if you notice that in exam 3, the average was pretty much the same, I do believe that there were still students that were doing lab works because the lab works were still open, just as it would be. And I think after exam 3, they're like, but wait a minute, it's taking a lot of time. You mean I can just use that time somewhere else? So that's what they decided to do because it's not counted anymore. So they decide not to do lab work anymore. Now, you look at it and you're like, it's only 9 points. Not a big deal. But I do want you guys to realize that 9 points is a whole letter grade. It's the difference between passing and failing.
Why should include the final one?
No, there is a final exam. I don't know why I didn't do that.
That's
I would tell you this. Fall 2021, my passing rate was 10% higher than the rest of the school. Spring 2022, same exact. So this 9% that you saw is like the 10% of my passing rate dropped. And I'm okay. Passing rate being the same, passing rate being higher, doesn't really matter to me. So that should tell you what the finals would look like. Very much similar. Okay? But I figure I throw that stat up there because I've done this before. Because there's a stat that I would show. Are we ready to vote? Okey doke. All that in favor of dropping the lab work, that means no more lab work ever again, raise your hand. Okay, some say mlo. But, okay. All in favor of keeping the lab work, raise your hand. Some say mlo. Chat. Say lo ba sub sub e sub say sub e say lo ba sub sub e sub say sub e say lo ba sub sub e sub say sub sub look sub chat. We got an issue. I only got 14 counts and there's 17 people in here. So all in favor to drop, raise your hand again, please. E say lo. Chat. Okay. Oh, that's. In favor of keeping it, raise your hand. E say lo. How did I lose count here? I know. Huh? Did you not vote? Oh, gotcha. Fair enough. Okay, now I got then I got the right numbers then. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right. Any other questions? You want to know the results? So I'm asking all the college algebra students. So there's 3 of your classes. You are the 3rd class. Your class actually split in half, literally in half. I'm going to ask Monday, Wednesday again to see if they want to revote or keep their voting. As of right now, if we keep the votes as is, we will be keeping it.
Friday's gonna be good for now.
Huh?
Friday's gonna be.
It's optional anyways.
It's like extra.
It replaces your lowest lab with grade, yes.
What if you don't get the question right and you deduct points?
I think if you guys realize how I grade optional lab works, you guys would. Shh. Shh. Shh.
Why don't we just keep it and we can do that? 2 more tests, so if you get failures in your lab work, you kind of just get hundreds.
My thing is this,
But
is that
also means, not spending as much time with the topics. So now that we're cheating, it's like, okay, now we're just memorizing it. So when it comes down to final, we're screwed.
I think what I'm seeing is, so I see a lot of suggestions that go on for a lot of people. Actually, I'm seeing it right now with 2 of my past students. One is doing very well in Calc 2 and one is not doing very well in Calc 2. And I already knew that one wasn't going to do well and one was going to do well. And the question is, why would I know? They're both my students. They both went through everything I made them do. So how am I going to know that one's going to do well and one's not going to do well? I realized that one, so they both could, let's say, do the review, the quiz for the review over and over. They both could, right? So they're both doing the same thing, but I know that one is going to get the A, one's going to get the B, or one's going to get the A, one's going to get the C. Why is it those 2 methods different if they did the same thing? Those 2 methods are different, not effort. It is the fact that one applies the concepts and understands and remembers the concepts to put down, the directions. Okay? The other one remembers how to do that problem. So when the number changes, stuck. If you understand the concept and the directions, the numbers don't matter because it's still the same. Make sense? So those 2 students doing the review over and over and over again are applying it totally differently. And that's why they get those different results. And that's why I find right now is that one student, I can see that all they're doing is applying concepts, and the other students only applying or remembering how to do the problem. Always an issue. Okay? So, and as we get higher and higher in the math, it's going to get worse and worse. The concept is going to be even more important. Right? So, it's kind of like if a male came to rent a boat versus a female coming to rent a boat, you don't treat them differently. Right? Same freaking forms. Same process, same everything, right? That's exactly it. Where someone else might say, well, it's a male, so I got to talk this way. It's a female, I want to talk this way and do this thing this way, in this form. And so I was like, no, it's the same. Right? Why stretch yourself out if it's male or female? So, any other questions, guys? I do want you guys to remember that my attempt into what we know is part of the 2 reasons why what I suggested as study habits on day 1. Do you guys remember what those 2 study habits were? Condense notes and write the best cheat sheet ever that you're never going to use, right? When you look at this, does that look like condensed notes for transformations? Exactly it, right? We talked about the 4 points from the parent function. We talked about if the f was in there versus the f wasn't in there, right? And then what do we do? What direction it goes?
So what we know is I get confused on like not putting what from the problem into what we know, and it ends up like making it difficult for me to write what we know.
So now I never deterred you guys from using AI, correct? All right. I would never deter you guys from doing that. Now, I would tell you, this is what I would tell you to do. I would actually tell you, take the transformation stuff, like what you wrote down and stuff like that, right? Feed it in to AI and just say, hey, can you give me a summary of what this is talking about? Right? See what it comes up with and saying, okay, what did he say in class about these things, right? What's close? And then put those things down. Now, there was someone that's saying in that seat right there that said, well, I didn't write those down, but I got 3 out of 4 on the what we know. I go, let me guess. The only thing that you forgot in the what we know is that you didn't specify all of these. You just specified these 2 things here, but everything else you wrote down. He's like, yeah. And it was in his own words. So does it have to be all of this? No. It just has to talk about the things that are in here, right? The 4 points from the parent function. How do you get the parent function from the f in the equation versus no f in the equation? And then what happens when those effects happen? Does that make sense? Okay. Like I said, I'm just asking for better, right? So next one, go, okay, I got better. That's what I care about, right? As long as not, here's 2 words, here's 3 words, I'm done, right? If we start there, fine. Let's put more words in there, right? Can I put more in here? Yeah, like what makes it reflect over the y-axis versus the x-axis, right? I could put this in here, right? Because the reflecting over the y-axis would be here, reflecting over the x-axis would be in here, right? Because over the x-axis would be the y switching versus the x switching, right? I could put more in there. More doesn't mean wrong unless you put wrong information in there. So more wrong would be wrong, but more right doesn't mean it's wrong, okay? And you guys can always, we can always talk about it in class. I don't have a problem with that either, right? You just need to force yourself to open the lab work early enough to be able to say, okay, I got to ask this question in class. Is that fair? Okay. All right. Since I asked to have this conversation today, the table is open for you guys to ask whatever you guys want. I didn't say anything about that.
Wait, like the last review.
Uh-huh.
So we
Since I asked you guys to do this discussion, I'm going to answer all the questions that you guys have.
So if we were to, like, for the cheat sheet, right, would you recommend, like, writing the what we know steps, like, on the cheat sheet to get the cheat sheet, or just, like, how would you recommend writing it?
The cheat sheet is for you, right? So if I were you, I would, so if you were to look at, like, say, the transformation stuff, what part of it do you need to remember? Write those stuff down. Like if you are able to bring that cheat sheet to the exam, right? You're like, okay, I got to remember these things about transformation. So that this way, in case you get stuck on that transformation, you can look at it and go, oh yeah, let me follow that. That is what you need to write down. What are the things that you felt like you kept on forgetting? Like someone from the last class kept on doing the opposite. So instead of shifting right, she shifted left. Or instead of shifting left, she shifted right. So she needs to make sure that she highlight that part of it for herself so that she knows, okay, remember this. Everything inside the parentheses is backwards. So when it says add, it means shift left. When it says subtraction, it means shift right. So those are information that you want to write down in the cheat sheet. On?
It's on the PDF, the overview.
Sure. I felt like I did this one. Did I do this one in your class or no? Okay. It's all right. Okay. Let me guess. Your issue is this part right here. Is the x is greater than or equal to 0? The issue? The graphing. This should not be an issue, graphing. All right, let's make a table. Give me some points. Can I pick -1? Why'd you give it to me for then? Uh-huh. Okay. So 0 squared minus 5. I know, but what's step 1 on the inverse stuff? Don't I still got to get the 4 points from the parent function? All right, so let's do it. What's 1 squared minus 5? 2 squared minus 5. 3 squared minus 5. Two hours later. Let's see. 1 -4. 2 -1. 3 4. Okay. So there's my graph. Okay. So how do I find the inverse? What do I do with them? Okay. Let's switch them. Why? So I can see the confusion on finding points here versus like a transformation. Because with the transformation, you got to know what the parent function is, right? So like when the transformation, God, come on, come on. Like with the transformation, right? I'll go, oh, okay, I see the square, so the parent function is this, so I got those points, right? And then I go, okay, now I got to do all the rigmarole from there, which is kind of a pain, right? With inverse, however, the parent function, notice that when it tells you to find inverse, it says f of x. F of x from day one, we said that is your parent function. So that's why when I plug things in, numbers in, I use that equation, right? So I use that equation to plug in my points, and then I switch to x and y. Or I just find points right on the graph. Now, if you looked at number 6 on lab work 6, it was hard to see points unless you zoom in, right? So I can understand that, right? That's why I kind of go, hey, just pick find 3 points that you can read. But it's a lot harder when it's such a small graph or on a piece of paper. So I understand that. Yeah.
I don't know the exact question that is on the review. But
Mhm.
it's graphing the standard root function where it's g of x equals the square root of negative x minus 1.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't know what question it is on the review.
Mhm. So notice that this says g of x, right? So that means that's a function that's transformed already. So that means I need to know what my f of x is. What's my parent function? Well, first I need points. Do we understand the parent function, first of all? That's the square root of x. Hold on. It's because of this, that's why we know this is the parent function. Just like the problem we did was parentheses squared, that's the parent function. Okay. So I can pick any x and get any y, right? So maybe I pick 0, 1, 4, 9. Do you guys all know why I picked those numbers? Awesome. So I got 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, and 9, 3. And you'll find out really quick. If you did 1, 2, 3, you're like, oh crap, I got square root of 2. All right, let me change that number. Like you'll figure that out really quick. All right, so number one thing was to find the parent function, find 4 points from the parent function, right? That was the very first thing. Okay, so now I get to go into the equation. What do I do first? Is under the radical considered inside the parentheses? Yes. So I'm inside the parentheses. So what do I know about inside the parentheses? Everything's opposite, backwards, and sad map. Right? Okay. So I'm inside. So what do I do first? Do I do the negative x first or the minus 5 first? Sad map. The fiver. Got to do the fiver first. Right?
So you're adding 5 to all your x.
Ooh-wee. Look at you go. Sniffing salt water and plastic has made your brain work.
I haven't even done my review, so.
She's going to go back and and smell more salt water and inhale more plastic. Does that make sense? There's no such thing. Because remember, inside the parentheses, everything's opposite backwards and sad map. Sad map meaning even the order of operations is backwards. So you got to add or subtract before you multiply and divide. Okay? See, not a dumb question at all. Now that the 5 is taken care of, we do this part. Right? And what does that tell me to do? Punch you in the face. Punch you in the face as well. Punch you in the face.
Flip it over the y-axis.
That is true, but how am I going to flip those numbers? Wait a minute. That negative x is telling me to do what? It's telling me to multiply, right? And inside the parentheses, it is opposite. So I'm supposed to do what with that negative 1? Divide. Yes, divide. Divide by negative 1.
Make it a positive.
To switch the signs, yes. All right, there's the plastic coming through. Well, here's the thing. So when I say it's opposite, right? So the reason why we added 5 because this is minus 5. So if it's minus 5, we add 5. What was the operation between the negative and the x? So what's opposite of that?
So
That's
why
why.
aren't you dividing by a positive 1? Like, yeah, but we added 5. See where I messed up the last one. I mean, outside of parentheses, inside of parentheses, it's like you do one thing and then you go to another, and it's like.
Because the operation is backwards. The numbers aren't backwards. The operation is backwards.
So if that wasn't an exponent.
This is a minus 5. Doesn't mean we add a negative 5. Because this is minus a positive 5, right? So if you were to go opposite on both, that means I would add a negative 5, which is the same thing as minus 5. I'm not going opposite opposite. Opposite operations. Minus, plus, plus, minus. Multiply, divide, divide, multiply.
It's because there's a negative 1 that's multiplied with the x, so you take the negative 1
And divide it.
operation.
So if that was like a 4 and not an x, it would be a different story.
I would divide by 4.
Yeah, positive 4.
If it was a positive 4.
And then if it was a negative 4, you just
Divide by negative 4. Yep. So if I was to graph this, hey. Yes?
When you're graphing, are you just graphing the points with the 5 and the 0 and then the negative 5, 0 points?
No, not the 5 0. The one, the red,
Just,
and the pink.
oh, just,
There we go. That's better. The red and the black. Because if you think about this, right? So the first thing we did was shift right 5, right? So it would look something like this. And then we reflect it over the y-axis. So if you took this and reflect it over, it would look like that. So on the exam, I don't even need to see all of this work. If you can just say, what is it doing? It's shifting over right 5, and then reflect over the y-axis. You see the picture, you pick the picture. When you squint like a Chinaman, yes. Practice that when you get home. No, it should be readable, yes. Yes. Go for it.
So, I was taking a review.
Uh-huh.
I was taking it like 6 months.
Okay.
But the first couple times that I took it, I kept getting this one question wrong. It was, find f of g, and then it gave me f of x and then f of g. But I simplified it, and obviously I couldn't find my answer on the answer, A, B, C, and D. So I just guessed, and I got it wrong, obviously. But like, how do you know whether to simplify or to just keep it like in the indicated form? Because I thought the bottom, like, you could simplify the bottom by factoring it, but I don't know. My question is, how do I know whether to simplify, whether I can further simplify?
Is the f3x plus 13, or which one is it?
F of g, f of x is 8x squared minus 7x.
Okay. But that's f divided by g, though.
Wait, I'm sorry, f divided by g.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where she got to, and then she goes, wait a minute, but these are factorable. Is that what you got?
Yes.
Okay. Can I reduce? Does anything cancel?
Oh, I think I went on ChatGPT to better explain it for me, and it was like, you can't, like, the bottom can't be simplified at the top.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yep.
No.
Because none of the binomials match, so I can't cancel anything out. So that's why I can't go any further. I'm done.
So if they were to match, then it'll just cancel out at the top and bottom, right?
Yeah.
So both of these answers are correct, depending on the choice. If the choice has it not factored, then that's your answer. If the answer choice has it factored, then that's your answer. Nope. Are there going to be both of these in there? No, it won't be. It will be one or the other. Done. That is your answer. That is it. That is it. That is it. Next question.
Another graphing one. I think all the ones that I have left to study are the graphing ones.
Okay.
But it's g of x equals negative f of x plus 2, plot the solid line to sketch g. I don't know what the number is on those though.
All right, read me some points. Read me some points. Uh-huh.
One.
Where are you getting your points from? 1-1.
Just so used to it.
2-1.
2-1.
So don't do 1-1.
Well, wherever the graph is. So if it's this one, yeah, that's fine. That one's fine. That one's fine. That one's fine. Right? This is what? 2-1? Okay. Do I have anything inside the parentheses that I gotta get done?
Yeah, no. Negative.
Yeah, no.
Outside, it is,
So what do I do first on the outside?
you're going to deal with the y-axis, correct?
Do I deal with the negative or the +2?
The +2.
PEMDAS. So what do I do with that negative? So I multiply the y with -1, yes? And then?
Wait, why is the second equation not -4? -4, -4. I messed up?
Yep, you messed up.
Why? 4 times -1. Sorry, I like to argue.
I don't think that's going to work. Is it? Let's see. It does work. Ta-da! Anything else to argue about? Is there anything else to argue about?
I'm still kind of confused, like, because it's a negative here, it reflects over the y-axis, or no? I just want to,
Wait, can we go back up to the top?
Hold on. Since this is outside the parentheses, then it affects the y value. So the y value goes from positive to negative, because I'm multiplying by -1, right? So y value goes from positive to negative. That has to go over which axis? Y goes over from positive y to negative y. If it's inside a parentheses, that affects the x. So if the x goes from positive to negative, then it has to go over the y-axis.
So the 2 affects the y values.
Next question. It's okay. Okay.
it's on the review, I just don't have the
Yeah, because you did the quiz. All right, give me 4 points.
0, 0.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
What numbers? 0, 0.
Okay. What do I do first?
Parentheses.
Huh? Oh. Your OCD is kicking in. Ah.
So you're dealing with stuff inside the parentheses.
Yep.
That means we're doing opposites. That means mep sad. What is it?
Sad map.
Oh, what was PEMDAS? I did the wrong one.
Yes, PEMDAS.
Okay.
It's not 2 E's though, it's just 1 E.
So we're doing
Right? Wouldn't it be MEP instead of MEP?
PEMDAS inside parentheses.
So you're going to just stutter on the exponents?
So you're going to add one.
Exponents.
You're going to add one to your y-axis. Okay?
What the?
Sad map. Opposite.
Inside parentheses. So it affects which value? X value.
So you're going to add one to your x value.
Correct.
And you're going to do sad map.
I think she just wants to say sad map.
Well, I got to like practice because outside, inside.
So many things I want to say, not going to say.
That's it, right?
Yeah? Next question.
So you essentially just shift it, right?
Shift right 1. Yep.
It's negative, and then if it was positive, you shift it left. So you didn't even have to.
Check this out. Check this out. Check this out.
Can we have like a cheat sheet? Can we go around the last like 20 minutes for like to help us for the test?
You already received it this past Saturday.
But I have to like physically look at a problem and understand that.
Yeah? So look at that problem and understand what that's saying.
I think we already talked about it though. We were just talking about, I don't know what number it is on the. We went over it before, but I'm still a little lost.
I know what she's talking about now.
Nobody online has questions.
They never ask questions. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
How do they pass a class?
They're just that good. They're just that good.
Okay, you're right.
What number is this one?
9. So if you look back in the notes, it tells you to just solve for y. Yep. No. Is it a function or not? So just solve for y.
But it can't have a negative in it.
So it's already not true.
Oh, okay.
So there's y. Got it. Right? So now the question is, if we were to put an x in there, would it only give me one y? Because that's what a function is, right? It passes the vertical line test because each x should give me one y. However, if I have one x input and have two outputs, then I'm not functioning. Okay? So if I put in an x and it gives me two y values, not a function. Go ahead.
So, like, you can do 8 minus 8 and get the square root of 0. You know what I mean?
Okay. Does that give you two y values?
You can get 8y values if you add 8 to the other side.
I'm saying if I put in an x, do I only get one y? I do. I only get one y value. Put any x in there. Okay. What do I get? I get only one y value, don't I?
So it is a function.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know.
So that's
It's not
all you have to
supposed
say?
be. I'm just trying to be
It's a
visual.
function?
Yeah.
So, but if it was y equals x squared, it's not. No, yes, it is. It's like a
Here.
fractal.
Here's what would make it not a function. Ready? That would make it not a function.
Oh, okay.
But if you only have
Because you have like the minus and the plus here.
Because you have the positive and the negative. Correct.
I was gonna add like what makes them not a function.
I mean, they'll get the notes. The example actually just has the, because you had to solve for the y, you were forced to take the square root of both sides, which forces you to put the plus and minus. And the plus and minus says it's not a function. So there's no plus and minus, it's a function. It's a function. Okay, doke?
Besides the graphing, I think the finding the domain is really confusing for me.
4K?
Just because it is. I don't know.
It just is. Give me a problem.
Okay, f of x equals x plus 1 over x minus 1. And this is from Publishing.
Are you telling them from the review?
No, this is not from
Okay.
This is, I was just, before class, I was just on YouTube, like,
Okay. Y equals what?
x plus 1 over x minus 1. And then g of x is equal to x minus 1 over x plus 1.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay.
From what I remember in the video, you're trying to find the limitations for the bottom can't be 0, right? Because it makes it undefined. So x can't be 1 for f of x. X can't be negative 1 for g of x.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's right so far.
The guy did like which y'all watch Chemistry Tutor on YouTube. It's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
He did like an underline where he made it visual
Uh-huh.
with negative infinity and negative 1 and 1. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like
Like this?
yes. But then
Like this?
So, the reason you have an open circle on the 1 is because it can't be included, but you're including it in your answer in the domain.
You're not including it.
Well, I was confused because I mean,
You're not including it.
but you're putting a parentheses with it. So that's, but it's in the answer.
Interesting.
I don't know, I just see it as
I've never seen those open circles with arrows on both sides before. That's very interesting. Yep, never seen it.
so.
Oh yeah.
Where you're getting me at is it's open, so it's a parentheses. And then with the closed circle, how do you know with the square root? I remember that. I do.
That's why these are closed circles.
And that's what is bracket. Okay. In the review, there was one question where it was like, there's a square root on the bottom, and it was like x minus 3.
Kind of like this one here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What about it?
Why is it x plus 6 is greater than 0?
Because?
Not greater than or equal to.
Great question. Anybody want to answer that question? Since it's in the denominator, it can't equal to 0. That's why we had to take it away. In fact, if you watch the video, you'll see that I talk about how things change because we have to take that away because it's the denominator, so it can't equal to 0. Anything else? We still got 5 minutes. You got time for questions. I gotta get back to work.
I haven't eaten lunch, dude. I'm so hungry.
Should have ate while you were driving.
It's a lot of air. I don't have anything to eat.
Just dip it in salt water.
Like, bring a spare gun to work.
Well, you should probably just like meal prep. This way, on your way, you're like driving and eating at the same time.
Yeah. I need like somebody to go run errands for me.
Bye. So no other questions? You out of it? All right. Well, I guess then that'd be the time to say, please have a wonderful, blessed day. Please be safe. Love you guys. See you guys all here for the exam on Thursday. Later. Bye-bye.